Hey everybody, Daddy back again, and I am joined by my good friend, THEJordanvgc. Jordan, you want to do a quick introduction?
Hi, I do YouTube videos. That's about it. You all know me.
He's the best at it, too.
I try hard, but I aim to emulate you guys when it comes to entertainment value.
Not me. Yeah, you're the best, man. I watched your videos with my son when he was really little. It might have been a little over his head, but I think he's starting to catch on. He just turned a year old. So, all right, we got a big matchup this week. I really wanted to win last week against Darts. I feel like, and I talked to James about this a lot, but Darts was just living inside of my brain, just rent free. I feel like one more win probably clinches playoffs for me. It's still kind of up in the air. My division's super tight, so big matchup this week against the top-rated team so far, Heracross.
You remember how we all rated it in the bottom half during power rankings? I was the most up on it, saying that it had stuff, had big numbers, fat Pokemon, but I still thought that the best teams were going to take advantage of it. And I think you have one of the best teams. And I think there are ways to take advantage of a super hard Trick Room team and a team that's kind of slow to get going in general. And I don't know why his first four opponents have not, but he's been putting together some really impressive wins so far.
Yeah, I mean, Heracross has definitely played very well also, which definitely factors in. And it is a team with a lot of strengths, but there are also a lot of weaknesses that hopefully we can exploit this week. So we have a couple of pastes to look at, but first maybe we'll take a quick little glance at the matchup. Let's see, where did I put it? Here we go. Oh, and we got the giant cursor courtesy of Jordan. He really hooked it up with this. And we figured out how to get both of our faces on here at the same time. So we were really excited about this one.
We're professionals, except for the money part.
That's true. Definitely negative money so far on these YouTube videos. Okay, so Jordan, I'll ask you first. What kind of stands out in this matchup in your mind, other than Trick Room?
Yes, so Trick Room. Porygon 2 and Glastrier are the best Pokemon on this team, though the other great Pokemon in a vacuum are Slowbro and Hitmontop and Reuniclus. So there are some good Pokemon. They're all thick. That's the benefit you get from Trick Room is you're going first, but why not just use fast Pokemon in the first place? Well, slow Pokemon in general have big numbers on offense and defense. And so you're not going to be able to just blow through this team. You're going to need some setup opportunities, I think, to get through it. He's got a lot of setup. If you look at the numbers, the grid of numbers, only Glastrier has a big offensive number. Well, and Reuniclus, I think. But most of these mons are 90 attack, 100 attack. They're fine, but they need some setup of their own. If I'm Slowbro, I'm Iron Defense Body Press, or I'm Calm Minding. If I'm Porygon 2, I'm kind of just sitting there and hoping that I can stall you out. So I feel like he needs some setup time and he needs time to set Trick Room. And so we need to just take advantage of that little bit of time and just try to scale up and just be better Pokemon than his. So I think speed control doesn't matter as much if they can't kill you in the first place. If your Pokemon are just 50% better than theirs, then speed control won't save them. So that's what my theory for, I sent you a sample team over. Why I think we can, Glastrier are scary, but most of these mons we can just scale up and get past, I think.
Yeah, and like you said, because it's a slow team, they have higher base stat totals in other areas. But as I'm looking at it, I mean, my team has some pretty high BST as well.
Oh, your team's great. Your team's great on all sides of the ball, which is why I think you should be able to win this match. But you'll need to play great, of course.
Yeah, that's always the problem for me, as it turns out. So yeah, some things that I obviously notice is Trick Room is basically a must for my opponent. I mean, you don't have to get it set up. You could go last and still win. It's definitely a possibility. But if you want to win the speed control war with this team, no amount of icy wins is going to get it going for you. So as we take a look at our pace, we don't have to put a lot of points into speed this week.
Yep.
We don't want Trick Room getting set up. That's for sure. And as long as it doesn't get set up, or maybe even if it does, as you pointed out, we were DMing earlier, if it does get set up, he uses a turn getting it set up, which could potentially be huge.
Yes. they're going to be bad every 5 turns at least. You know, even if you exclude the fact that his Pokemon want setup turns of their own, he's going to be wanting to get Trick Room up and wanting to get Fake Out at the ready so that he can get Trick Room up. And he's just going to be wasting time. And we need to take advantage of that, because if we're fighting the match on the Trick Room team's terms, they just have 20% better Pokemon than us, like a little bit higher numbers, at least for Glastrier's side. So where am I even going with this? Yeah, so as you said, we're going to fully invest in offense and defense. Just like a couple of speed benchmarks would be good, because the main way we take speed control away from this team is Imprison, right? We're not going to be able to just blow away Porygon 2 in one turn, so we need to just like shut off Trick Room as an option to them. So if we're imprisoning, we do want to make sure that we're actually faster than them. So like a couple of speed points on all the mons you have speed ties would just make sure you go first, I think.
Yeah. The other thing that I was kind of considering, and this worked to my advantage in a matchup earlier this season, I can't remember which one, but it was a matchup where I sort of like faked a Trick Room setup, led Dusk Noir, and then the opponent uses Taunt, or I think it was Bohm, actually. He had a bunch of tools to try to stop my Trick Room. And I said, you know what, forget about it. I'm just going to hit you really hard. Yeah. So that's something that I definitely want to consider going into this matchup too. You throw that Porygon 2 out there, I might be thinking Trick Room. It doesn't mean he has to click Trick Room, right? There are other options. Porygon 2 has a pretty decent special attack stat, and then whatever it's next to is going to be throwing out moves as well. So something to consider.
Yeah, Porygon 2 is actually like not passive when it gets the download boost. It's pretty good. Yeah, so you have Pokemon that are good with all stats. Like, so your 2 Trick Room setters, Dust Noir, and what's the other one? Sigalith. Like, they can actually hit. So, like, while people might be fearing Trick Room or Imprison Trick Room, you can just throw out attacks. And so I have a Sigalith on my pace. You put the Dust Noir. I think they're definitely worth it, because you want the option, right? To reverse Trick Room, to Imprison Trick Room, or just to threaten that. You know, you don't have... with my pace, I wouldn't bring Sigalith game 1. Mm-hmm. I think the main thing is, like, I've fought games where I could not beat Porygon 2, like where my 2 attacks combined did half, and so it recover spam me to hell. And I don't want that to ever happen, because it's just a very unfun way to lose. And so there's basically 2 ways to reliably beat Porygon 2. There's Stab Close Combat, which you have a Poliwrath, but like most of his team's good against Poliwrath, so that's kind of concerning. The other thing is setup. You need to set up. You need Pokemon that are twice as good as regular Pokemon if you're going to reliably break Porygon 2. And so that's why my paste has 3 different setup mons, Calm Mind and Iron Defense Body Press.
Yeah, we'll get into the pace in just a second. I just wanted to take one last look at what do we think Heracross is going to be bringing this week, because this is pretty important when considering the team you're going to build, right?
Do you have anything that punishes Intimidate? Because he's got double Intimidate.
He sure does.
Short answer,
not. No.
So he's going to bring at least 1 Intimidate. In general, Mawile is good because you have Sylveon or 2 fairies. And so he'll be bringing Mawile. He'll probably be bringing Porygon 2. You don't have like an obvious fighting type killer, and he probably sees that Poliwrath's tough to bring. So he's bringing Porygon 2. He's bringing Mawile, probably Hitmontop as well. It seems like a pretty good Glastrier week. You've got like ice weaknesses. Right. Lurantis, I think, is pretty good because it punishes your own Intimidate. So like a Contrary turns it into a +1. Slowbro, I think in general is good. So like I think we want 2 quality Trick Room setters on his side. So like Porygon 2 and Slowbro, or Porygon 2 and Reuniclus. And then we want some quality sweepers in Glastrier, Mawile with Swords Dance. And then we want like a little bit of disruption tools with Hitmontop, and then one of the other guys like Eldegoss or something.
Yeah, I think I agree. Electabuzz, I don't see any reason to bring that. Slowpoke, I mean, why? You have Slowbro. Sandslash, potentially for the Magnezone, but it seems unlikely. Yeah, so I think Hitmontop and P2 seem like they're going to be coming every week for Heracross. Reuniclus, Mawile, what would that be? 5. Lurantis, Glastrier. He does have quite a few we could bring here.
I think we can ignore, for the most part, Slowpoke. I think we can mostly ignore Sandslash. I mean, we'll have a Golisopod. I think we both agree that we'll have a Golisopod to beat that. So
Heracross knows this too, because you can see the massive bug weakness, which you don't see very often on any teams ever.
Yeah.
So.
Yes.
Yeah. So okay. So let's take a look at your pace first, and then I'll show you what
I sent you an updated one on.
Oh, nice. Okay. Great.
So it's logic. I did like 1 or 2 calcs. So it's more like logically, I think this is how we punish a trick room heavy team. But you'll have to do the refining, and you might find that the calcs don't work out.
Sure.
And so you always got to be willing to pivot when that happens. But we handle Glastrier with Intimidate on Tauros. If they intimidate us back, then we eject pack out, and then we get another intimidate later. Cool. And what's cool is that like Tauros doesn't want to be in against Hitmontop, so we get our choice as to what's in against Hitmontop if it comes. We intimidate, we eject pack out into Sylveon. We have a much better matchup. So we've got 3 setup moves. We got Calm Mind on Sigalith. We got Calm Mind on Sylveon. Calm Mind on Sylveon should beat the majority of his team. And then we've got Iron Defense Body Press, Magnezone. So we both noted giant bug weakness, and the few things that aren't weak to bug are weak to either fighting or ground. So Tauros and Golisopod are kind of the same Pokemon, except Golisopod is slow but stronger, and Tauros is fast but not quite as strong. But both of the idea is that they tank hits. They go toe-to-toe with his beefy Trick Room Mons, and the other Mons try to use the time to their advantage by setting up. And then Ponyta is actually just good. Like Overheat he's super weak to fire.
Right.
And Overheat destroys Mawile. It actually like Oko's Glastrier or something silly like that. And Will-O-Wisp is another way to handle Glastrier and Ally Switch, because why not?
And the team is so slow that Ponyta is faster than everything on his team except for Electabuzz. So kind of interesting. That's definitely one that I consider too. It's weird to say, but I think Ponyta actually does look pretty good this week.
Yeah, it looks fine.
The thing that scares me about Ponyta a little bit is it does have the sash, so it's living 2 hits. I guess I'll have to do some of those overheat calcs, but I'm definitely going to take.
It was looking great. I saved like 1. Let me see. Oh, no. So Ponyta Overheat does 70% to Glastrier. It Oko's Mawile 1.5 times over.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's pretty good.
Like max HP Mawile?
Yeah, max HP on both of them.
Ponyta.
So max HP Glastrier, it does at least 70 to that.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
And so then, like, you have weakened attack after you overheat, but then you can just Will-O-Wisp and Ally Switch. You'll be all right.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Okay. Yeah, really interesting. The Imprisoned Trick Room is something that I think probably should come in one form or the other. I also have Dusknoir, who has Trick Room, obviously, and Imprison. So that would be another possibility. Let's take a look at my pace, and we'll kind of compare and contrast a little bit here. I personally feel like Morgrem looks kind of good this week. Fake Out's always nice. Best move in the game, right? Maybe other than Protect. Trick Lagging Tail feels really good to me. For some reason, earlier today, I thought that Marowak Alola was on the other team. I don't know why I thought that. I think I mixed it up with the other conference or something. But Trick Lagging Tail still looks pretty good to me into Porygon 2. Then I take the Eviolite, get it for myself, and make sure that P2 always goes last. Can also
okay. So you can actually use the Eviolite you steal. That's
exactly.
kind of funny. So I like it onto Porygon 2 in general, but maybe we could find a better item than Lagging Tail, because we want to play a game in which speed control doesn't matter that much. Like we don't care if he's always going to go first under Trick Room if we have better Pokemon. Like we don't really care about them going last if we're so strong they can't beat us and we can beat them in fewer turns.
Sure.
So there could be a better item like Toxic Orb if you're willing to commit to.
I was considering something like that too.
Yeah.
But then if they protect turn 1, then I'm in trouble, right?
I've never seen him bring Protect on Porygon 2. Just saying. Now the thing is, like, if you get Toxic, like that's Toxic Orb still deadly. Like even turn 2, even if you get Toxic as well.
True. Yeah, that it's funny that you mentioned that, because that was something else that I thought about. Because you're right, Lagging Tail, the plan is to be going first. If the team's very slow, we don't want them to set up Trick Room. So that's something to consider. Fake Tears looks pretty good with a very aggressive Sylveon and Magnezone. I went with a really wild Magnezone set. Like I said, I literally made this with my child in my lap squirming around. So like, but I just had some ideas I kind of wanted to float out there. This is like nothing set in stone. These are not the mons that I would bring. But I was thinking maybe like a hyper aggressive Magnezone, maybe with just enough speed to outspeed the other stuff that's sitting at the same speed tier. I was thinking choice specs because electric moves and steel moves hit just about everything on Heracross's team, at least for neutral damage. Volt switch to get out if I'm already faster is an option. Glycopod is on both our teams, pretty similar set.
Oh, they're basically identical. I love that.
Yeah. I mean, and why wouldn't it be, right? Like, first impression, Leech Life are incredible into this team specifically.
And then close combat for Glastrier, because we have like the gifted typing that resists both Glastrier, Icicle Crash, and high horsepower. So we just beat Glastrier easily.
Yeah. Sucker Punch, because there are a lot of mons on Heracross's team that are weak to dark, and that priority is nice because whether Trick Room is set up or not, I'm always going first. What else do we have here? So Tauros was another one that you said earlier. If you have Tauros versus Hitmontop, you don't want Tauros in there. Well, I'm like, what if we threw a Choice Band Zen Headbutt on there? Is it going to kill him? Probably not. I don't know. It's something I would need to calc, obviously.
That is an idea. So my favorite difference between our two teams of yours is the Specs Magnezone. Like, there's two ways to abuse the Trick Room team, and one is to try to blow them away. And so I think Magnezone can actually do that with Specs. If Steel Beam Oko's Glastrier, then it is justifiable. Otherwise, then you're unsturdying yourself, which I don't love. But I do really love that idea of like, let's make our Pokemon really good from the get-go. And that's one way to, like, I don't care if you're getting a turn of jump on me if my Pokemon are over 50% better than yours. And so the Tauros needs Mega Horn, like 1 billion%. But like, so yeah, we had different approaches to try to how to beat the Hitmontop. Is you can KO it, but then you're stuck with the Zen Headbutt Tauros, which isn't good against anything else, I would imagine. So I think eject packing out would be kind of good. We both agreed on Calm Mind Sylveon, though I think Life Orb is kind of the opposite of the way to go about this team, because like, imagine you're playing against your old BDSP team with Cresselia. They're going to kill themselves with Life Orb if you've got thick Pokemon. And so it's good to be stronger, but you're going to be stronger via Calm Mind. And so let's make ourselves that we are just 50% better than their Pokemon, and then we can beat them in enough time.
Yeah, maybe something like Steel Resist Berry or something, or Throat Spray.
Yep. I agree, because he's going to bring Mawile, and he could bring the Steel move on. Yeah, you've got 3 Steel weaknesses, so he's going to bring the Steel move on Glastrier as well.
Okay. Yeah, I like that idea. Mystical Fire seemed good because obviously a lot of fire weaknesses, and also to help sort of weaken those special attackers, which but that, and again, that's like you said, that's kind of playing a long game, and we probably don't want to play a long game against this team.
Well, you either want to make it so that they can't kill you, so like really long, or you want to try to blow them away. And you can do both because you've got 6 Pokemon. And so 2 Pokemon can be trying to just pound for pound win the game faster than them. And then the other mons are just, well, like, fine, you have speed control, but I don't care because I'm just here and try to deal with me. And so I would recommend a setup mon be in your lead all the time. So Calm Mind Sylveon, you can just start Calm Minding from turn 1 because they're going to bring like a passive lead, like a Porygon 2 Hitmontop. And you're just like, I don't care about these Pokemon. Like, especially with a Calm Mind boost, I do not care about Porygon 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So I guess now it's kind of down to the nitty gritty. How do we narrow this down? How do you feel about Morgrem this week?
I love the fake tears because that's how you play the blow them away game. Like that whole turn of Trick Room where you tried to set up, I've just taken half of your life. And I imagine like Magnezone doesn't need Specs or Steel Beam to get an Oko on Glastrier with fake tears. As in, if it can do half by itself, then fake tears gets the other half. Now, yeah, so you didn't have screens, which I like. Fake out is going to be kind of a free turn from your perspective. Though the reason that I don't love like Morgrem in general here is that we're fighting a fake out war that we're not equipped to win with Hitmontop. And if you're lagging tail, you always lose. that fake out war.
Sure.
So
Good point.
And I didn't know exactly what to do with the trick item, as in like we don't really care if they go last because we're trying to win regardless of speed control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yes, I like the fake tears, and then if Glastrier sets up, then foul play is a very good move.
What other items are there that negatively affect you that wouldn't negatively affect me on turn 1?
There's like a sticky barb or something like that hurts them every turn. Which is like anti-leftovers.
Okay.
Yeah. It's fine.
Yeah, Trick just feels so good because I would love to steal an Eviolite and then just screw him up with an item.
So I've got a heat set planned for Tay, but then I realized that it's not as consistent as a better, more standard set. And sometimes, do you want to do it for the content or do you want to win? And that's an honest question.
Yeah, that is a good question. And you're right about this is a fake out war. We're not going to win. That is a very good point. Fake tears.
And if Morgrim is not wearing Eviolite, then it's not going to be able to play the long game that Heracross is going to make you play sometimes. Yeah. It's just a weaker Pokemon than everything else. Right. The pranksters aim to use a couple of terms of advantage to win those short games, which like against Darts, he's got like hyper offense. So one turn really matters against Darts, but against Heracross, it doesn't. We want to make it so that we don't care if this thing takes 20 turns. We're going to win with better Pokemon.
Okay. Let's take a look real quick and see if, not the calculator, team builder. Let's see if Morgrim gets any other moves that would warrant bringing Morgrim this week. Just real quick. Thunderwave, obviously not something we're going to want to bring this week.
Who cares, you know? I mean, in the long run, Thunderwave will steal 25% of their turns, but I'm not super compelled by that. It's also, I think the most consistent way to win is a +2/+2 Combine Sylveon.
Yeah, Helping Hand. So this is off topic because I don't think this guy gets Helping Hand. But Helping Hand is another one that I threw on my paste. I threw it on Dusknoir. I kind of like this set.
If Helping Hand changes a calc, then do it. If it doesn't, then don't do it.
Yeah, I guess I would have to crunch the numbers on this, but I feel like maybe even Throat Spray Sylveon with the Helping Hand Hyper Voice.
Yes, the Throat Spray is a fine item. I think Steel Berry is your best item, but yes, that will help you get moving a little bit faster. Mm-hmm. But Sylveon, the hope is that Sylveon lives 6 turns, so we don't really need 1 turn of advantage. What we need is to stay alive so that we can keep hyper voicing.
Right, and the typical leads we'd be expecting is something like Hitmontop and P2, maybe Mawile for the Intimidate. No, you probably wouldn't lead Mawile, would you, into this?
You can lead anything. You really can. If you wanted a Trick Room setup, you would bring Porygon 2 with Fake Out or with Intimidate, or bring 2 Trick Room setters. But I think Heracross has a good enough team with big enough, thick enough mons that he doesn't need to get Trick Room turn 1 every time. Mm-hmm. And so I just want to outpace him on numbers, offense and defense. We're going to ignore speed. And so, regardless of what he has in front of him, whether it's Mawile or P2 or Slowbro or anything, if we Calm Mind and Iron Defense, I don't care unless we get crit. We have better Pokemon than him, and he does not have the raw numbers to outpace us from turn 1.
Yeah, I guess the thing that concerns me a little bit about Magnezone running an Iron Defense set is the amount of stuff that can take Magnezone down in one shot. So close combat from Hitmontop, probably not going to kill, but it's going to do a very, very significant chunk. High horsepower from Glastrier certainly will kill. Take me down to Sturdy if I run Sturdy, right? Focus Blast from Reuniclus is going to be problematic. Superpower from Lurantis, again, not going to kill, but going to do a pretty significant amount, right? Wouldn't you say?
Well, yes, unless you've already Iron Defensed. And if you bring Magnezone out in the lead, they're not going to swing with Glastrier turn 1. And if they do, you still already get the Iron Defense up because you're faster. And so if you're double defense, hit me with your best shot. Hit me with a super effective shot. It'll do 30% or 40%. I don't care. Glastrier has a ground move, but like unless he brings the Sand Slash, nothing else is hitting you with a ground move. I mean, it may be like a Hitmontop drill run, but like I'm ultimately not like that's not even better than close combat for him.
Right.
Yeah. So like I think if you abuse the setup turns, like the fact that he's just not very good on turn 1, then you can be able to shrug off super effective attacks.
Okay. Okay, I can dig it. Yeah. All right, that makes a lot of sense. Sorry, I'm trying to process this and like shoot a video at the same time. It's really hard to balance. Like you can only do
I think like I'm saying like it's easy. It's still going to be hard. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be a tricky matchup. But like if we both have great coverage on our Mons. Like we can hit this team really hard, and we can set up our Mons so that we just are better than his Mons. And so if you stick to that game plan, and you just have to be brave, right? You have to Calm Mind in front of you don't know what they have, and you'd have to Calm Mind anyway, or you have to Iron Defense anyway.
Right. Okay. So we lead Sylveon. We're trying to get a Calm Mind setup going. Mm-hmm. What do we lead next to it?
Sigilyph and Imprison, or Ponyta to deal with Glastrier, because Glastrier is the one thing that's going to outpace Sylveon from turn 1, or Tauros so that we can get an Intimidate off. Intimidate really helps you because you're going to have infinite special defense, but you still have normal physical defense. So Intimidate really helps in general. So I like the Tauros because it's a little bit more immediate pressure with Sylveon. I like the Golisopod just because it's like got better numbers. And so like if you ignore the Golisopod, it's taking a chunk out of you every time. So just a more immediate offensive presence or a more immediate disruptive presence with Ponyta, and just say like, and put them stuck between beating the short-term threat versus beating the long-term threat.
Okay. So in your set, Ponyta serves a very similar purpose to the Dusk Noir in my set.
Yep.
In some ways, right? Ally switching.
Yours might be better. If Overheat wasn't so damn good, Dusk Noir would just be better all the time. But I think it might actually be better. Overheat's really good.
I agree. Overheat, right, is taking off such a huge chunk, or just killing Mawile, where Dusk Noir is not doing that. But how many hits can Dusk Noir withstand, right? And keep throwing out those Poltergeists, which are doing pretty significant damage to just about everything. There's a big ghost weakness on this team too, right? Everything except P2.
Yeah. I think we can assume Reuniclus carries Shadow Ball. And who else? And maybe Porygon 2 carries Shadow Ball. Mm-hmm. So they're going to be able to beat... They're like, I hope that they're going to be targeting Dusk Noir, and then we bring Ponyta. But if they're not prepping for Dusk Noir, then it is just a better Pokemon, and you should bring that.
I brought it every week, so I would assume they're going to prep for it. Yeah, okay, that's really interesting. Because, yeah, they serve kind of similar purposes, except Ponyta is sort of a glass cannon at the same time, right? It's like a support.
It does it first, yes.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. I like that. Okay, so our Sylveons are kind of similar. That's something I can refine. Same thing with Golisopod. How do you feel about Sucker Punch versus, what did you have? Drill Run?
Either one. I think I went back and forth on mine between the two. So.
Yeah, again, kind of inconsequential. Okay, and then I guess the other major difference is you have a Sigilyph here, and instead of Sigilyph, I have the Morgrem, which we already talked about. So sell me on the Sigilyph over the Morgrem.
Well, Morgrem has low numbers. Sigilyph has decent numbers that get better when you Calm Mind. And it has Imprison Trick Room. Okay.
Now, you said earlier that we want them to waste a turn setting up Trick Room, right?
Yep.
Or at least they will if they do set it up. Aren't we wasting a turn imprisoning?
Yes. I would not bring Sigilyph game 1. I would bring it if Trick Room is proving a problem. If he brings Life Orb Glastrier and mows you down with one set of Trick Room turns, then you know you need to stop Trick Room at all costs. If he's playing a slow game, then you're just going to play a slow game with Sigilyph and Calm Mind rather than Imprison. But Sigilyph comes for the threat of Imprison Trick Room, and after you Imprison, you need to just start Calm Minding. Like, yes, you do. We do trade a turn, imprison versus can't imprison Trick Room. But then from turn 2, we're doing better because we're definitely going first. If they had a Trick Room planned in mind, they've got slow Pokemon. And we're calm minding. And so we are tough to break. A max defense Sigilyph lives a Glastrier Icicle Crash.
Interesting. Okay.
It's a little trickier. I just wouldn't bring the Sigilyph. I would bring it if we really need to stop Trick Room because it's the best way to stop Trick Room. And by the way, like since we get free Life Orb with Life Orb Magic Guard, Sigilyph's pretty good at just hitting you. And we could do Tinted Lens so that nothing resists Air Slash, but he only has a couple of flying resists anyway, so I'd rather just do free Life Orb.
Yeah, the flying resist are what, Electabuzz and Mawile.
And we'll just beat Mawile with a couple of other things like and ground moves and Overheat.
Yeah, okay. I guess what worries me a little bit is if I run the Ponyta and the Sigilyph. Obviously, Sigilyph is not getting the Sash. And if he feels like I'm going for Imprison on turn 1, double up that slot, Sigilyph is dead, right?
Yes.
And also, if he's bringing Ghost moves, Sigilyph also suffers.
Yes. Yeah, fair.
So if we see that Shadow Ball on Porygon 2, and Reuniclus, right, if those are the leads.
Well, you do need, I think you need one Mon that has Trick Room the move. Whether it's got Imprison as well is up to you. And so both your Trick Room setters are weak to Ghost and Dark, and so there's nothing you can really do about that.
Sure. Do you think that he runs Mental Herb on the Porygon 2? Because I have
Yes, he can. But so that's, I guess, why Imprison's so good. That that
doesn't matter.
Yeah. Now he's gonna fake out probably the Sigilyph. Like I would say, like Sigilyph is not the main bring here. It is there because you need Trick Room as an option, and if based on their game 1 lead, Imprison would beat that, then Sigilyph can save you. And the key is that it's not like a passive Imprison Mon like Uxie or something, that with Calm Mind, it just becomes a better Pokemon that also happens to be faster because he's playing Trick Room.
Yeah. Okay. That's really interesting. All right.
I think your main plan should be Sylveon and then the 3 beefy boys here. The Golisopod, the Magnezone, and the Taurus.
Yeah. I think we definitely both agree on those 4 at the very least. I think I'm more sold on the Sigilyph now than I was before. Absolutely. Fuck. I think I'm going to use Ponyta. I think I'm going to do it. It looks
Have fun.
Really strong. Yeah, I guess the only thing.
And it's also Flame Body as an ability. If it burns the Glastrier, then it did its job with Flame Body.
True.
All of Mawile's moves are contact moves as well, so you might get a free burn on it, even if it sucker punched you or something. We can destroy the Mawile, but just in case we decided to spend our Overheat on Glastrier, we could get other free burns when things hit us.
Yeah, that's a really nice option. And the only thing I'm really losing would be the Helping Hand. So I guess I'll calc that, see if there's any roles where Helping Hand it benefits my team. If it does, then maybe stick with the Dusknoir, and if it doesn't, then Ponyta actually looks pretty good this week.
If you bring Dusknoir, I think you need Trick Room on it.
Yeah. So
you need a Mon with Trick Room.
Right. I'm saying
reverse it. Yeah.
Like bring Sigilyph with Dusknoir, right? So like the
Shadow Ball is getting a lot of mileage though.
True.
You do have Assault Vest Golisopod. Like the game is complicated in one sense, but in another sense, Assault Vest Golisopod has great numbers.
And
like great offense, great defense. Yeah.
And we have Tauros, right? But Shadow Ball is probably one-shotting Ponyta too, bringing it to Sash anyway, right?
Yes, but Dusknoir might get one shot, and nothing one shots the Ponyta.
That's true. Yeah. Should I Sash the Dusknoir?
Ghostberry wouldn't be terrible on it. I don't think they're necessarily taunting the Dusknoir. I mean, that I could be wrong about that, but
no, that's it. Yeah, that's definitely a good observation. That's an item I just threw on there because I didn't know what else to put, and I had a squirming child on me, so
Yes.
Interesting. Okay, so a lot to think about. I don't want to drag this team builder out too.
We definitely already talked for like a while.
Yeah. So
but I enjoyed every minute of it.
Yeah,
hopefully
absolutely.
the viewers do too.
That's the best part about making this series. I'll just say this real quick, and I'm sure I've said it before, but the best part is just like being able to talk to you guys and just hear like different ideas about the matchups and just like talk about this game that we love. And talking to you, talking to Sam, Tay, Dan, everybody that I've talked to so far, it's just really interesting to see like your take on the matchup versus my take. Some things that we agree upon, some things that we disagree upon, and then how can we kind of like meet in the middle. So yeah, you get some really crazy builds, some really unique stuff, like bringing Ponyta this week potentially, or like with Dan not running Protect on anything, right? So it's been really fun. I really like doing this with you guys, and I'm really glad that you joined me, Jordan, because you are the supreme YouTuber, my friend.
Oh, you're too kind. Yeah, this is a really good style of content you got going. I'm looking forward to this one. If you have me on to watch the replay or the next week.
Oh, we're definitely going to have you on to watch the replay. So we are...
Win, or at least make it interesting. Be brave.
God, I want to win. I just want to win so bad because the whole league is so scary. It's like I start out 3-0 and there's no guarantee on playoffs. So hopefully we get a win this week. We're supposed to play Thursday, so we'll link up and we'll watch the replays together and get the second part of this video together too.
Great. You have a good evening.
Awesome. You too. Thanks a lot, Jordan. See ya on part 2, guys. All right, and we are back for part 2. Took a long time to get this match going. There's a lot of scheduling issues. Me and the family came down with the sickness, blah, 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 but we are back. Jordan, welcome back.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back. I'm sure we talked for a bit, and unless you cut it down, let's just jump right in, right? So the video doesn't end up too long. That's
right, yeah. Big matchup this week, playoff implications. Heracross lost today, I believe it was, so need a big win here. So this is the team that I ended up going with. Don't think I really made too many changes here. Going with a really offensive Magnezone. Decided to stick with the Ponyta. It looks so good in this matchup. I felt like it's a really smart bring this week. Yeah, other than that, I don't think I really changed anything here. So,
nope.
Let's go. All right. So, any surprises?
Well, we see an Eldegoss. Like, I expected one of the grass types, so that over Lurantis. Otherwise, these are the mons that I remember worrying about in Team Builder, so I feel like we should be good, right? Yeah. Tell me you brought something that pressures Glastrier and something that can set up in your lead, right?
Let's take a look.
Ooh, nice. That's good against everything, I'm sure.
It seemed like a solid lead.
Like, I don't know what Eldegoss does, like, besides, like, grass moves, sleep powder, and whatnot, but, like, we'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, Eldegoss not super scary. The ability, kind of, like, I was kind of a little nervous about, but, yeah, wasn't too worried about that. I figured, we get the Sylveon set up, like we talked about earlier in the video, and Tauros for Intimidate, just in case Glastrier comes out. Also good into Hitmontop with the Eject Pack, so.
Yeah. What? Unnecessary. Yeah, you're just gonna get some free damage, right? Oh, cool. Now we get to reposition. Okay, as Trick Room goes up. Cool. I dig it, right? Trick Room goes up, but like, my Pokemon are better than yours, so whatever.
Yeah, basically
that's how I feel.
Exactly what we prepped for, right? This is kind of exactly the turn one we wanted. So, so far, things are looking really good.
Intimidate's inconvenient. Damn. Okay. That's going to slow this game down, but still good damage. Yeah, especially with a crit.
Eerie Impulse was nice tech. That was a really smart bring, I think, by Heracross. Intimidate did slow things down a little bit. I mean, you got to go for the first impression there, right? Try to take out that Eldegoss.
Yeah, I probably would, yeah.
Yeah. So things still looking
This is good, right? Yeah, like... So did you calculate... Mawile, I assume, doesn't OHKO Sylveon. You have a Steel Berry, so you're good. You're definitely good.
I have a Steel Berry, and even if I didn't, I mean, Mawile's not very good. So
yeah.
Excuse me.
Close combat, good. Okay, and then the Hyper Voice, double KO, right? From here, maybe. Interesting. Okay, you don't really mind that. You'll just get another first impression later.
Yeah, that's one of those instances when emergency exit is kind of nice. Yeah, I wanted to finish off the Maw while Hyper Voice. Would a Hyper Voice have done it? I was fearing another Eerie Impulse, maybe. Yeah,
that's good enough.
Yeah. So
now I hope that one of your Mons is min speed so that it can potentially win the speed tie against P2 right now. Because otherwise it's going to get to recover.
Yeah, Sylveon is not. And I don't believe Magnezone is either.
Oh, Intimidate, good move. Okay. Nice. Hyper Voice, Hyper Voice. Oh, nice switch, as it turns out. Hyper Voice. Without P2, they really don't control the game that well.
Yeah, with Trick Room going away here, this it feels kind of hopeless. You would think.
Interesting. So I guess they go for you. Do they go for the steal move? Oh, you're just stalling out Trick Room. Good move. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so with a little bit of speed investment, you're probably going first with both your Mons here. I would be targeting Glastrier. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the
so it's gonna get some sleep now.
Cotton Down scared me here because the more times I hit this thing, the slower I get and the more sleep powder chances, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh, there's a weakness policy. If you pick up, you're good. If you don't, then you're not so good. Uh-oh. What's he gonna get?
Yeah, so maybe Mystical Fire was the play there. Tough call.
Maybe, but no, I just want to get the most damage, and usually that means hyper voicing. Right. Oh, that is good. That's the best move he's made this game. This has gotten interesting. Oh no.
Yeah, that really could be a game changer there. And see, now the speed is really a factor, right? Because this Eldegoss is now by far the fastest thing on the field.
Mm-hmm. Just saying, I recommended Safeguard on Sylveon.
True.
Oh, this is actually a problem. What do you have in the back? Oh, you Magnezone. You should still be okay. But
yeah, Magnezone and Glycopods, so
okay.
Feeling pretty
if he
good.
reads a Protect and then puts Magnezone to sleep, then it gets way harder, but otherwise you should have a lot of damage going here.
Yeah, or he can miss Icicle Crash 2 times in a row. That happens sometimes too.
Is that a spoiler?
That's what just happened. He just missed it twice.
Okay.
So pretty crazy.
Yeah. Charm, okay. Yeah. So he's got like a lot of slowing down techniques, but does he have any ways to speed the game up besides hoping that Glastrier gets the weakness policy? Because like otherwise it's just going to be a really slow game and it gives either player a good chance.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like it's just too slow a team, unless, like, assuming you don't proc the Glastrier weakness policy next game, you should be able to just calm mind up and out damage.
Yeah, I think it's a cool strategy to get that Cotton Down going and then fire off those sleep powders, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's working,
yeah,
so.
Absolutely.
Let's see that Steel Beam. Come on. Oh, it's going to be Protect and then put you to sleep. Uh-oh.
That's the plan.
Oh, no.
Lots of sleep.
Oh, and you can't even take out this Eldegoss.
Uh-huh. So feeling a little nervous here.
Yeah. Oh, that's not good either. High horsepower. And he misses!
Can you believe it?
Oh, you got some good RNG this game.
Yeah, no kidding.
What's that accomplishing? Oh, I just
Block.
first impression, but no, that's a sleep turn. Yeah.
Yeah, so right here, after the double Protect, he needs to get a sleep powder into the Magnezone. I don't even know if he's faster. He is. Misses sleep powder and
I would be doubling the Glastrier unless you know that it picks up right now. I hope it
picks up. We counts for it, yeah.
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 Good.
It was
good,
doing 99% minimum or something like that.
Good.
Yeah. So, game 1 went as planned. A lot of RNG that played in my favor, but even without it, it would still be a tough one for him to win, right?
Yeah, your game plan is good. Like it definitely helped you this game, but I feel like I don't mind bringing the same 4 or just adjusting a little bit in the next game because you got a good game plan.
Yeah, that's basically how I felt about it too. I also felt like Ponyta looks kind of good into what Heracross is bringing. So it was a tough decision to make, but here's what I decided to go with.
His favorite lead.
It's a strong lead.
Yeah, and so you went first, you got the Intimidate down, and then you get out into a better position. Okay. Why not Golisopod coming in, though?
It's a good question. I was thinking I'd get the Magnezone in and go for a Volt Switch.
Okay. I think we see a Trick Room here. Okay. So he knows what you're going for, and he's making the right moves a little bit faster now. Getting the Mawile in right away.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's at worst like a fine situation for you. This isn't that bad.
Yeah, the P2s hurt pretty bad. Mawile is not very threatening. The attack drop on Bubsy 3D here does kind of hurt, but still kind of feel like I'm in a pretty good spot.
I think so too. Like swapping in Tauros for Intimidate, there you go, as you did, is still a good move. Ooh.
This Porygon just hangs on.
Oh, it should be recovering. I guess we can assume it doesn't have recover on its moveset because there are so many good opportunities for it to just not die.
Yeah, kind of what I was thinking after the last game too. Like if he didn't recover last game, he probably doesn't have recover. I mean, we know he has Trick Room, we know he has Shadow Ball and
Eerie Impulse.
Eerie Impulse, correct, right?
Maybe try attack the last move.
Yeah.
But he's brought a no stab Porygon 2 before, like just like Ice Beam, Thunderbolt kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
which I don't think is the way. Mm-hmm. Oh, he's got to recover. Okay, good.
Surprise
good move.
Recover. Yeah, surprised we didn't see it last game.
Yeah. Good damage, Magnezone.
Magnezone is a monster.
So I've struggled like trying to make Magnezone like in my mind as a great Pokemon because like the stats are there, but like just the threat of dying is always there because a lot of mons have ground moves. But this is the kind of team where Magnezone is good because he just isn't fast enough. He can't threaten like a fast Oko on Magnezone, so Magnezone gets his shot in, and Magnezone's got great stats. So
right. And if you don't, if you can take out the ground coverage on their team, then Magnezone runs wild because even, fighting moves are not one-shotting it most of the time.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a great typing if not for ground moves. So
right,
yeah.
Right. Yeah. If we can only get Levitate on it, right?
Was I imagining it, or did Magneton have Levitate at one point?
I always thought so. I mean, it's a magnet Pokemon, right? You kind of assume that. I don't know. Whatever.
Oh, we're gonna get Sturdy into. Oh, okay. Okay, they're playing this right, and that would have Oko'd.
Massive damage still.
Yeah.
With the Eerie Impulse, but it does trigger the weakness policy, so maybe not a great play by me there.
Yeah, but you have Sturdy, like.
Right.
He's got he should be assuming it and doubling the Magnezone, but it's still a tough spot for him. He gives up. Who does that?
Yeah, it's kind of how I felt too. But
bad manners. VBL players don't give up.
It is for the stats, I guess, but like I don't care about the stats. Unwinnable at this point, I would say, right? I mean, is there any out at this point?
So he's got Hitmontop in the back.
Just Hitmontop. Fake out, high horsepower, but then close combat kills your.
Oh yeah, you are still at 4 mons, so you did great.
Yeah.
We'll ignore the bad manners and say you did great.
Yeah, so game plan worked out, I'd say, to perfection. I mean, first, game 1, we did get a lot of RNG for sure, which may or may have not played a role. I think I'm still in control of that matchup, but when you're relying on Sleep Powder to win, you're kind of playing that RNG game.
It just would have been closer, right? Like you had 4 Mons, like he would have taken a few, but like I don't know, we'll see.
Yeah, it kind of felt like I was in control. Game plan worked to perfection, and the matchup just looked really good into Heracross's team. Like I didn't feel like there was a lot of outs for Heracross this week. Kind of need Trick Room with this team, right?
Yeah, or he needs to be setting up more. So I chatted with Braff, and he mentioned that he helped Heracross in this matchup, and he said that they both thought it was a good matchup for Heracross.
Really?
And so I was like, what? So I guess they just weren't ready for how thick and good your team is. I think your team's going to be a big playoff threat.
Yeah, the base stat totals are huge, and it shows every week. I mean, a lot of bulk and then a lot of power coming back at you. So that's what I was going for this season, and it's working out pretty well.
I have the lowest base stat total of all 32 coaches.
Yeah, that's okay. Polar opposites.
It wasn't the greatest play, but I could have won some of the games that I didn't win, and I'm not totally out of it yet. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the divisions are still tight. Like, there's still a chance that I might not make playoffs.
Oh, get out of here! You're making playoffs. You're at 5 wins now, right?
I'm at 4 wins. I'm gonna beat Jace in a couple days, and then I'll be at 5.
Oh, okay. But, you're gonna. I mean, this is a good 2-2-0. You're gonna make playoffs.
Yeah.
But I gotta win my last 2.
Yeah, it's looking extremely likely. Tay is a monster. Unbelievable. Yeah. So if you win out, you could still potentially get in. Correct?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I won't talk about it too much, but I think if I win the last 2, I'm basically guaranteed.
Okay.
Because I think if I win the last 2, then I'm taking Electric's spot because he's my opponent in the last week. But I don't want to take a spot. I want us to both take somebody else's spot, but we'll see.
Right. Yeah, you know what's funny, though? The Daddy Conference is like pretty tight. A lot of people still have a shot to make playoffs, and the Baby Conference is like 0-4 and 1-4 teams. What's going on, babies? What's happening down there?
You know, the difference between a 1-4 team and a 3-2 or 4-1 team is like a couple of missed reads, but like it was defensible that you made the other read, and like a couple of crits can make the difference. We definitely got to get beyond like reading into the numbers too much, reading into the stats too much, or acting like if I had a 5-2 season, it means I did no wrong, or if I had a 3-4 season, it means that like my team was bad. No.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
You know?
Yeah, and sometimes you prep for something that ends up not being there.
Exactly.
You feel like you won in prep, and then you show up and you're like, oh my god, he brought Growlithe, right, or something like that. And
if we really wanted to know who had the best team, we would play a 15-game regular season, the AC's proposal. But nobody wants to do that, so we're just gonna have to live with their RNG.
Right. Yeah, exactly. True. Very true. Well, Jordan, any closing thoughts, fun. Any shout outs, anything like that?
No, you have a great team. Lesson learned, kiddies and adults, get good Pokemon and play well.
It pays
and then
off.
You'll just make playoffs.
It does pay off. Well, thank you very much for joining me. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the extended format that we tried out this week. Let me know. Leave a comment. Leave a like. Subscribe to the Jordan VGC. I know you already are, but make sure you did it, okay? And yeah, I'll see you guys in a few days for my video against Jace. Take care.
Farewell.
Thanks again, Jordan.
Good luck, Daddy.